So I have two grinders here. I have the ever so popular Niche Zero 63mm Mazza Conical burr, and I have a fairly unrecognisable grinder to most. This is the T64S, and this has 64mm SSP high uniformity burrs in it. So what I want to do to compare these two realistically is we're going to talk about body, clarity, sweetness and acidity. You know, because they are the four pillars, if you like, that define a shot. So we'll talk espresso first, and we'll start with body. So basically, you've got honey, thick, juicy, syrupy shots that basically fill your mouth like a yogurt, linger forever. This is more like tea. It's a lot thinner. It's probably a bit thicker than that. It's like probably like a coffee with a little bit of sugar thickness. You know, it's thinner than a Conical, but it's not bad, especially these burrs. Then if we look at acidity, pretty low acidity here, you know, nothing which, it's pleasant, but it's not like drawing your mouth together if you're not used to it. Whereas if you get some of the newer, really funky processed light roasts, this on first taste could literally draw your mouth together with acidity, thinking you've got something wrong. You've done something wrong, you've brewed wrong. No. They are they're quite sharp, they're quite tart with the acidity. They push that forwards, much more so than the Conical. The Conical is way more tame, a lot more muted in terms of acidity. If we then move on to clarity, which sort of, you can probably see where the gist of this is going here. You've got a very blended cup, I would say here. So flavor profiles are often blended. You can't really pick them out unless it's like chocolate and nuts and it's very, very pronounced in sort of a medium darker roast. You're not going to get your juicy oranges and bananas or whatever like that, mangoes in this grinder that I have found. Whereas this is the opposite on the flat burr. You will get flavor separation. You'll get some good clarity. You will get those flavors coming through individually, and you will just get a little bit more of that separation, which in espresso I think is more desirable for me personally. And then if we talk about sweetness, there's not a lot between them actually. I would say the flat burr is slightly sweeter, you know, than the Conical, but there's really not a lot in it. Whatever flavors are on your bag, if you've got a nice sweet chocolate or honey or something like that, you do get sweetness in both shots. You know, I'd say the flat burr here is given a little bit more, but it's not massively outdone the Conical, the Niche. You know, there's still that sweetness, there's still great tasting shots. So I don't think you'd go wrong with either really, but if we talk just espresso to start with, if you're the type of person who is drinking lighter roasts, you're going more funky methods, you like acidity, you like clarity, flat burr is a way to go. If you are drinking more medium dark roasts, you want that thicker body, you want that sort of blended nutty taste, a bit like what you get in a lot of coffee shops, if I'm honest, the house espresso type stuff. Honestly, I would probably go with the Conical. You know, I think that represents that flavour well. I think it does it well. Definitely, I think it does it better than the flat burrs I have in here. I prefer medium to darker roasts on the Niche. I prefer the lighter stuff over on the flats. I guess if you were doing milky drinks, honestly, even if you were doing light roasts or you were doing mediums, darks, whatever, I really don't think there's any difference. If you've got one of these already, or you're thinking of changing, or you're buying your first grinder, and you're only going to do milky drinks, I honestly wouldn't put a massive factor on flat or Conical. I think as soon as you start to add milk in a lot of espresso, you mute a lot of those flavours, the acidities, because you poured in a load of milk or whatever alternative you use as your dairy product. The nuances and the character and all of the flavours that were in the espresso have gone. So if you're a milky drink person, honestly, I would pick whatever you want. Now, when it comes to filter coffee, I think hands down you've got to give it to the flat burr. You know, the Conical burr, it doesn't give you that clarity and it doesn't give you that acidity which you really want in filter. It also produces a lot more fines, which you do not want in your filter brews. They give you muddy beds, they give you muddier cups. I found the filter in this, it's drinkable, it's obviously a lot better than instant coffee, but it's very bland. There's not a lot going on. It's like just drinking a very basic black coffee, as in a clean taste, but clean because there's nothing going on. Whereas if you get the right coffee and you get the right grind, you've got a lot going on. Even with these high uniformity burrs, you get that acidity, you get that separation, less fines. You really do get a great cup. So I think if you're looking for an electric grinder that is not hand and you're a filter drinker, I would definitely go with flat burrs. So I guess the question now comes on to upgradability and prices. So there's an abundance out there now of grinders for both conical and flat. The niche is not the cheapest anymore. I think the Vari is definitely cheaper than the VS3. Obviously, this guy sits in the price range of the DF64 type things at around $450. So, you know, there's plenty of choice. I don't think that's a big factor, but a big factor and a big push for a flat burr, especially if you go for a very standard size, say 64 or 83, you get a lot of choice of burrs. So rather than having to change your grinder, I've got the SSP high uniformity in here. I could literally go and purchase the SSP multi-purpose, which are more a brew focused burr, higher clarity, higher acidity than the high uniformity burrs. I could put those in here and I'd get even better filter brews and maybe even add something to my espresso. But I haven't had to fork out for a new grinder. I've literally forked out around £200 for some new burrs. So in terms of maybe changing backwards and forwards, upgradability, I definitely say a flat burr is a better proposition. So nice, short and sweet. Let's wrap this up for who it's for. Flat burrs, if you are doing lighter espressos, you prefer high clarity, high acidity, and you don't mind having a bit of a thinner body, flat burr all the way. If you're a medium dark drinker and you want those thick, juicy shots, or thick shots, Conical is probably the way to go. If you're doing milky drinks, either, honestly, I don't think there's a preference. You know, if anything, I'd probably go with flat burr, because then if you want to upgrade it, change the burrs, whatever, you've got that option. But honestly, if you've already got one of them and you're doing milky drinks, I wouldn't go and purchase the other or swap. I really don't think it's worth it. Filter, definitely go with flat burr. You know, you want the clarity and you want the acidity for flat burr. This, for me, it's too bland, boring and muted for filter. Conical, it's just not the way to go. Definitely flat burr is the way to go. Now, if you've already got one and you're thinking, I need to go with light roast and I want that, well, get yourself a flat burr grinder then. Sell your Conical, especially if you've got your niche, you'll get good value back for it still. Get yourself a flat burr, enjoy your coffee.